so today we have Miss Keisha Paige of It's Poppin' Vintage. Thank you so much for joining me today. It's an absolute pleasure to have you.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Of course, yeah. So for our viewers who don't know, what is It's Poppin' Vintage and how did you get it started and what inspired it?
Well, actually, I had a thrift store addiction, like many people do. They have a thrift store addiction, they have a estate sale addiction, and I found myself just buying things that I didn't need or were too small for me. And so I started giving things to my friends, and then I had like this big, like, I called it It's Poppin' Vintage, and I had all my friends over, and then they actually start buying the clothes. They said, you give us so much, we're gonna like buy these clothes. So I just wanted to have like a nice display of all the things that I have found, and it was really successful. And so that kind of like spearheaded the whole thing.
That's awesome. And so how many like how long had you been doing that for before you became like made it like your small business?
Actually, maybe about 2 years.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I wasn't even a thrift. I didn't even go to the thrift store. Like, not that I was like a mall shopper. I was more of like the Target, Old Navy type of girl. You know what I mean? Sportswear, things like that. But I just started finding all of the uniqueness. You know what I'm saying? And found items, and it just kind of like sparked this like creativity in my spirit.
Last year seemed almost like it was 5 years long in a way, and 2 months long in another way. How did COVID like affect planning for just basically everything, especially when it came to your business?
Well, lucky for me, it skyrocketed, actually. COVID really, everybody was at home shopping. You know,
Yeah.
everybody was at home shopping. They had nowhere to go, but it made people feel good. And so I really, really didn't suffer. In fact, I thrived during COVID. Also, like the incident with George Floyd kind of brought some other customers that I never had before. People like joining forces, and
Yeah.
it was just really good for me last year. It was. I'm looking at my sales from this year and last year, like, dang, like, like, man, I missed that. Yeah.
So, so what kind of challenges did you face last year, when things like kind of took off more, and like what did you learn from last year, and like did you learn anything different in how to like, operate your business?
I did. I had to be a bit more strategic. I was really intentional on where I was going because everything wasn't open for me to even source items.
Mhm.
So I was actually like at my mom's house, like at some of her friends' houses. So I started kind of like cleaning out people's closet a little bit. Some elders, I started cleaning out their
Oh
closet.
yeah.
Of course, it's full of everything great. So
Mm-hmm.
I was able to like go to Atlanta and really tap into all of my roots there and bring stuff back to Birmingham.
So are you originally from Atlanta?
No, I'm originally from Detroit. Well,
Oh,
actually,
okay.
let me back up. I'm originally from Chicago. I moved to Detroit when I was 14 years old, but I kind of call Detroit home because that's where I became an adult. So yeah.
What are like the projects that you have going on right now? Like, not, no big deal or anything, but you just provided wardrobe for one of my favorite shows,
Ugh,
Pose, and it's last season, which I'm just getting goosebumps thinking
I know,
about
me too, me
because I
too.
don't want it to end.
No,
But
we
like,
don't. None of us do.
but what an honor! Like, the actors on there. Dominique Jackson, is that her name? Who plays Electra? She is my
Yes,
favorite character.
yes, yes.
And and I know one of the actors is from here. How did you fall into that? Like, did they call you up?
They did. They called me up, but I will have to give all of the credit to one of my good friends that has she's in charge of making like communities thrive in Atlanta. So her name is Kiyomi Rollins, and she has this kind of like pod called The Connect. And so different businesses come in there, and somebody came in there and said, "Hey, do you know anybody that has a vintage clothing store?" She was like, "Of course I do." that's how everything kind of like connected. It was through the connect. It was through Kiyomi. Yeah.
What do you envision for its Poppins Vintage's future? Like, are you trying to expand your clothing empire to like maybe doing pop-ups like outside of Birmingham also?
Well, that is kind of difficult for me because I have two boys and they are like the they're like really good athletes, you know what I mean? And so they involve themselves in everything that goes on. So my afternoons and my weekends sometimes are kind of caught up with them. But I do have some things in the works. It looks like I might be having my own storefront where it's more of a like a suite
Yeah.
by the Birmingham Crossplex area.
Okay.
So it looks like it'll be like a little suite and people can come in and shop versus me, always, Instagramming or Etsying it. I'll
Mhm.
still be doing the same thing, but that's going on. And I also try to think of, what type of service I can provide, like, styling services, bringing back a closet organization,
Mm.
things like that. Because a lot of people hold on to so much stuff. Like, I'm a thrifter, but I'm not a hoarder at all. You know what I mean? I
Yeah.
can't stand it. So I like the fact that people buy my items quickly because I want to go get other things. I don't like for stuff to stay around. If it stays around too long, I'm like, it's on sale. Like, let's move on. You know what I mean? So I'm thinking of, creative ways to do that. But right now, it looks like this storefront is in the
What
works.
is the importance of supporting community and supporting local? And how does it fit into your business's mission?
Well, it's all about sustainable fashion, of course. And the, recycling, repurposing, things like that. And in the community, in terms of the community, I don't know if I'm able to bridge that here in Birmingham. Like in Atlanta, I used to do like, free prom dresses for girls, you know what I mean? To try to bring that community ties in. But I'm part of two community service organizations, and so I try to bring my talents there by doing, when we have a teen, well, let me just back. One of the organizations is the National Hookup of Black Women. It's a Birmingham chapter. It's a national organization. It started in 1974. And then I'm also a part of the Sigma Gamma Rho Sorority Incorporated, which is a Black sorority. And so they do things also. So I'm always trying to bring my own creativity, to the community with those things. Like we had one activity with a teen summit, and I literally like gave the kids colored duct tape and cardboard and was like, we're gonna make some fashion today. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Whatever. But kids will come up with a wallet or a clutch purse
Hmm.
or a belt. You know what I mean? So I'm always trying to bridge those two things together to let people know that fashion is kind of like what you make it.
I know that you mentioned your boys and, and fashion, of course. What are the other things that bring you joy in life? And like, how are you making time for it now that everything's getting so busy?
I work out every day. It is my sanctuary. It is my sanctuary. I love to work out. I do a spin class. It was in
Oh,
Atlanta,
nice.
but now he's online. It's called KTX Fitness. He's actually one of my best friends, and we do Zoom class every day. It's 2 o'clock Central Time, but 1 o'clock Eastern Time. And I get on the bike for an hour and just rock out to some trap music and spin like crazy. So it's always a good time. That's what I do.
What kind of advice would you give to other people who are thinking about, hey, maybe I should make this into a business, or I should pursue that project I really want to? What kind of advice would you give them?
I just say to just, I don't know, some people I've never ever been fearful of a lot of things. You know what I mean? I don't know if it's because I grew up on the south side of Chicago or if I grew up on the east side of Detroit, but I've never had a fear about doing anything, and I think that keeps a lot of people back and it stagnates them and things like that.
Yeah.
I'm just like, if you write it down, like I write things down every day, even though I don't know what happened to this link that you sent me, but I write down what I have to do for that day. You know what I mean? And I just check it off. You have to produce. Like you gotta, it won't get done if you don't do it. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I tell people to just go ahead, even if it's 10 minutes a day, think about what your goals are and how you're going to escalate your business. You know what I mean? It sounds simple because it really is.
Well, Keisha, I just want to thank you again. This has been an absolute pleasure and so much fun. How can our viewers find you?
Well, I'm on Instagram. It's poppin.vintage. And the poppin is Poppin. We don't put a G on the end of it. Because everything is poppin! Exclamation point.
Yes, and you have such beautiful items that you list. Like I feel like almost on the daily, and I enjoy them. So thank you for
Thank
adding
you
a little
so
bit
much.
of beauty and fashion to our city.
Thank you.
And I hope you have a good day. And I'll be seeing you on social media.
Yes, ma'am. See you.
All
Take
right.
care.
Bye.
All right.